The invitation of irony. Karim Zahidi stood before his bedroom mirror, adjusting his navy tie with deliberate precision. The autumn evening cast amber light through the window of their Crescent Hills apartment, painting everything in shades of melancholy. His wife Layla had left that morning with barely a glance, claiming an urgent project deadline prevented her from attending tonight's Literary Foundation Gala at the Crystal Gardens. He knew better now. 3 weeks ago, Karim had discovered the truth quite accidentally, a message notification lighting up Layla's forgotten phone during breakfast. The name that appeared belonged to Tariq Mansour, his colleague from the university's philosophy department. The preview text had been enough. Last night was incredible. When can I see you again? The confrontation never happened. Karim had chosen silence over spectacle, observation over accusation. He watched his wife of 7 years slip further away, each late night and distracted conversation confirming what his heart already mourned. That afternoon, seeking solace in his favorite cafe near campus, fate had intervened. Yasmin Darwish sat alone by the window, elegant in her tailored cream blazer, dark hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. She was Tariq's wife, a woman Karim had met perhaps 3 times at faculty gatherings, always gracious, always somewhat reserved. Today, however, her expression carried something different, recognition of shared pain. Their eyes met. Understanding passed between them without words. "Professor Zahidi," she said softly as he approached her table. "How strange to find you here. I thought you'd be preparing for tonight's gala." "I could say the same about you, Mrs. Darwish." Karim gestured toward the empty chair. "May I?" She nodded, and as he sat, Yasmin's carefully maintained composure cracked slightly. Tariq said he had a critical lecture series to prepare. Couldn't possibly spare the evening. Her laugh held no humor. "I suppose your wife had similar obligations." "A project deadline," Karim confirmed, meeting her knowing gaze. Silence settled between them, not uncomfortable, but weighted with unspoken truths. Finally, Yasmin spoke, her voice steady despite the vulnerability in her eyes. "I have 2 tickets to tonight's gala. It seems wasteful to let them go unused." She paused, then added with quiet defiance, "Would you consider accompanying me, Professor? Not as a statement or revenge, but simply as 2 people who refuse to disappear." Karim felt something shift in his chest, not quite hope, but something close to it. The reclamation of agency. "I would be honored, Mrs. Darwish." "Yasmin," she corrected, offering the first genuine smile he'd seen from her. "If we're to face the evening together, perhaps we should start with honesty." "Then call me Karim," he replied, returning her smile. As they made plans to meet at the venue, Karim felt the weight on his shoulders lighten slightly. Tonight would not be about those who had betrayed them. Tonight would be about remembering their own worth, entering the gilded room. The Crystal Gardens lived up to its name. Karim arrived early, waiting beneath the grand entrance where thousands of tiny lights were woven through autumn ivy, creating a canopy of stars. When Yasmin emerged from her car, his breath caught unexpectedly. She wore a deep emerald gown that moved like water, elegant and understated yet utterly captivating. Her confidence seemed renewed, her posture straight, her smile warm as she approached. "You look beautiful," Karim said honestly, offering his arm. "And you look like someone remembering who he is," Yasmin replied, linking her arm through his. "Shall we?" They entered together, and the effect was immediate. Heads turned. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wind through wheat. Karim recognized several university colleagues, literary patrons, and social acquaintances, all registering surprise at this unexpected pairing. Let them wonder, Karim thought. Let them talk. The ballroom was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers, silk drapes in burgundy and gold, tables adorned with centerpieces of white roses and flickering candles. A string quartet played near the dance floor, their music weaving through conversations like a delicate thread. "I haven't been to something like this in years," Yasmin admitted as they found their table. "Tariq always said these events were tedious. I stopped asking to attend." Layla called them pretentious wastes of time, Karim shared, surprising himself with the admission. "I used to love them, the celebration of literature, the conversations about ideas that matter. When did I stop defending the things I valued? Yasmin's hand found his on the table, a brief squeeze of understanding. When we confused love with self-erasure. The evening progressed with unexpected ease. They spoke about poetry, Yasmin's passion for Mahmoud Darwish, Karim's love for Rumi. They discussed books that had changed them, debated philosophical concepts with genuine enthusiasm, discovered shared frustrations with academic politics and modern publishing. When dinner concluded and the dancing began, Karim stood, extending his hand. "Would you honor me?" Yasmin's eyes sparkled. "I thought you'd never ask." On the dance floor, something shifted between them. The first touch of his hand at her waist, her palm against his shoulder, created an electricity neither expected. They moved together naturally, finding an easy rhythm as the quartet played a slow waltz. "You're an excellent dancer," Yasmin murmured, her breath warm against his cheek. "My mother insisted I learn," Karim replied, acutely aware of how perfectly she fit in his arms. "She said a man who couldn't dance was a man who couldn't truly listen to another person." Wise woman. As they turned, Karim caught their reflection in the ballroom's mirrors. Two people who appeared to belong together, who moved with synchronized grace, who looked at each other with something real and present. Not the distant ghosts his marriage had become. Yasmin must have seen it too, because her fingers tightened slightly on his shoulder. When their eyes met, the world seemed to narrow to just this moment, this connection, this unexpected recognition of being truly seen. The music swelled, and Karim drew her incrementally closer. Neither spoke, but words had become unnecessary. In the warmth of her presence, in the gentle pressure of their joined hands, something was awakening, tender and terrifying and entirely authentic. When the song ended, they remained still for a heartbeat longer than necessary, reluctant to break the spell. "Would you like some air?" Yasmin suggested softly. "The terrace should be quieter." Karim nodded, not trusting his voice. As they made their way through the crowd, his hand naturally found the small of her back, protective, attentive, present in a way he hadn't been with anyone in years. The night was far from over, and both of them sensed they were standing at the threshold of something that would change everything. Conversations under starlight. The terrace was a sanctuary. Wrought iron railings overlooked the city's glittering skyline, while heating lamps cast a warm amber glow against the cool October air. Only a few other couples occupied the space, speaking in hushed tones that respected the intimacy of the setting. Karim and Yasmin found a secluded corner where climbing jasmine created a fragrant curtain of privacy. She leaned against the railing, closing her eyes as the breeze lifted her hair. In the soft light, she looked both vulnerable and strong, a woman who had carried disappointment with grace but was now ready to set it down. "When did you know?" she asked quietly, opening her eyes to meet his. "About them." 3 weeks ago. A text message. Karim stood beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. "You." 2 months, Yasmin admitted, her voice steady despite the pain beneath. "I found hotel receipts." Confronted him. He promised it meant nothing, that it was over. I believed him because I wanted to. She paused. Or maybe I didn't believe him, but I wasn't ready to face what disbelief would require. Karim understood completely. I never confronted Layla. Part of me wonders if my silence made me complicit in my own betrayal. No. Yasmin turned to face him fully, her expression fierce with conviction. Their choices are not our failures. We didn't betray ourselves by hoping for better, by being loyal, by choosing faith over suspicion. The certainty in her voice moved something deep within Karim. How do you maintain such clarity? Because the alternative is believing I deserved this, that somehow I wasn't enough. Yasmin's eyes glistened, but no tears fell. I won't give them that power. I am enough. I have always been enough. You are, Karim said with sudden intensity, surprised by his own vehemence. Yasmin, you are extraordinary. Your intelligence, your grace, the way you speak about literature as if words are living things. He stopped, catching himself. Forgive me. I'm overstepping. You're not. She moved closer, her hand finding his arm. No one has spoken to me like that in years. As if I'm someone worth discovering, worth celebrating. Tariq used to. But then I became part of the furniture. Familiar. Expected. Invisible. I understand that invisibility, Karim confessed. Layla and I used to talk for hours. About everything, nothing, dreams we'd chase together. Then gradually, the conversations became logistics. Bills. Schedules. Surface pleasantries masking the distance. I can't remember the last time she asked about my work, my thoughts, what makes me happy. Yasmin's thumb traced a gentle arc on his sleeve. What does make you happy, Karim? The question, so simple yet so profound, nearly undid him. This, he answered honestly. This conversation. Being seen. Connecting with someone who engages with ideas, who challenges me, who. He hesitated, then committed to the truth. Who looks at me the way you're looking at me right now. The air between them charged with possibility. Yasmin's hand slid down his arm to his hand, their fingers naturally intertwining. The fit felt inevitable, like finding a missing piece you didn't know you'd lost. I should feel guilty, Yasmin whispered, her gaze dropping to their joined hands. But I don't. Is that terrible? If it is, then we're terrible together, Karim replied. He lifted his free hand, hesitating just before touching her face. May I? She nodded, breath catching as his fingers gently brushed her cheek, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The tenderness of the gesture, so simple yet so intimate, made her eyes flutter closed. They stood like that for a long moment, forehead nearly touching forehead, breath mingling in the small space between them. Karim's thumb traced her jawline with reverent attention, and Yasmin's hands found his chest, feeling his heartbeat accelerate beneath her palms. We should go back inside, she murmured, making no move to leave. We should, Karim agreed, equally motionless. Instead, they remained in their private universe, where the city lights sparkled like promises and the night air carried jasmine and possibility. When they finally pulled apart, both knew something irreversible had shifted. The connection forged on this terrace transcended circumstance. It was recognition of kindred spirits finding each other against all odds. One more dance. Karim suggested, reluctant to end this stolen moment. Yasmin smiled, radiant and genuine. As many as the night allows. Hand in hand, they returned to the ballroom, carrying the terrace's magic with them like a secret neither was ready to name but both were beginning to treasure. The dance of awakening. The ballroom had transformed during their absence. The lights had dimmed to a softer glow, candles flickered on every table, and the string quartet had been replaced by a small jazz ensemble playing sultry, intimate melodies. Couples swayed close together, the atmosphere thick with romance and possibility. Karim guided Yasmin back to the dance floor, and this time when he took her in his arms, there was no hesitation, no uncertainty. She melted into his embrace naturally, her head resting against his shoulder, her hand curled trustingly against his chest. They moved together in perfect synchronization, no longer two strangers navigating unfamiliar territory but two souls finding their rhythm. Karim's hand splayed across the small of her back, feeling the warmth of her skin through the silk of her gown. Yasmin's fingers traced absent patterns on his shoulder, each touch sending shivers of awareness through him. This feels like a dream, she whispered against his neck, her breath warm and intoxicating. If it is, I don't want to wake, Karim replied, his lips accidentally brushing her temple. The contact, though unintended, ignited something profound between them. Yasmin lifted her head, her eyes meeting his with an intensity that stole his breath. Her pupils were dark and deep, reflecting the candlelight, filled with longing and question and invitation all at once. Karim's hand moved from her back to cup her face, his thumb stroking her cheekbone with infinite gentleness. The music faded into background noise. The other dancers disappeared. There was only Yasmin, luminous and present and devastatingly beautiful in her vulnerability. Karim, she breathed, his name a prayer on her lips. He leaned closer, their foreheads touching, noses brushing, lips a whisper apart. The anticipation was exquisite torture, the moment before the moment, suspended in time, charged with everything they'd both been missing for so long. But he didn't close the distance. Not yet. Not here, surrounded by watching eyes and whispered speculation. Come with me, he said softly, taking her hand. They slipped away from the dance floor, moving through the ballroom with purpose. Karim had noticed earlier a small art gallery adjacent to the main venue, a quieter space where patrons could view the Foundation's collection of literary manuscripts and paintings inspired by classical poetry. The gallery was nearly empty, just a handful of art enthusiasts studying the illuminated displays. Soft instrumental music played from hidden speakers, and the lighting was deliberately intimate, focused on the artwork while leaving the pathways in gentle shadow. Yasmin's hand tightened in his as they walked slowly past framed manuscripts, love letters from famous poets, first drafts with passionate scratches and revisions, illustrations of eternal love stories. Each piece seemed to mirror their own unfolding narrative. They stopped before a large painting depicting two figures silhouetted against a starlit sky, reaching for each other across a garden. The artist had captured the moment before contact, the yearning, the hope, the courage required to bridge the distance. "It's beautiful," Yasmin said, but she wasn't looking at the painting. She was looking at Karim. He turned to face her fully, his back to the artwork, his complete attention on the woman before him. In the dim light, she was ethereal, all soft edges and warm depths, intelligent eyes and parted lips that promised both conversation and passion. "Yasmin," he began, his voice rough with emotion. "I need you to know, this isn't about revenge or rebound or filling a void. What I feel when I'm with you is something entirely separate from what I've lost. You make me remember who I am, who I want to be." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, but her smile was radiant. "You do the same for me. For the first time in years, I feel alive. Seen. Valued not for what I provide but for who I am." They stood close together in the shadowed corner of the gallery, away from prying eyes. Karim's hands found her waist, drawing her nearer. Yasmin's arms wrapped around his neck, fingers threading through his hair. Their bodies aligned perfectly, fitting together like corresponding verses of the same poem. "I want to kiss you," Karim confessed, his gaze dropping to her lips. "I've wanted to since we walked onto that terrace." "Then why haven't you?" Yasmin challenged, her voice barely above a whisper, teasing and tender all at once. "Because once I start, I'm not sure I'll be able to stop." Her smile was answer enough. She pulled him closer, eliminating the last inches between them, and whispered against his lips, "Then don't stop." The first touch of their lips was electric, gentle yet passionate, tentative yet certain. Karim kissed her with years of loneliness and longing, with gratitude for her existence, with reverence for this unexpected gift. Yasmin responded with equal fervor, her fingers tightening in his hair, her body pressing closer, communicating everything words couldn't express. The kiss deepened, became more urgent. Karim's hands roamed her back, memorizing the curve of her spine, the warmth of her skin. Yasmin made a soft sound of pleasure that nearly undid him completely. They broke apart only to catch their breath, foreheads pressed together, hearts racing in tandem. "We should probably leave," Yasmin said, though she made no move to step away. "Probably," Karim agreed, kissing her again, softer this time but no less meaningful. When they finally pulled apart, both were flushed and slightly disheveled, eyes bright with desire and something deeper, the recognition that this night had fundamentally altered their trajectories. "Your place or mine?" Yasmin asked with a mischievous smile that made Karim's heart stutter. "Neither," he said decisively. "Not yet. This deserves more than stolen moments in empty homes that belong to our past lives." He took her hand, bringing it to his lips. "Let me take you somewhere that's just ours. Even if only for tonight." Understanding and appreciation flooded Yasmin's expression. "The Garden Hotel," she suggested. "They have a rooftop lounge that stays open late." Karim nodded, already leading her toward the exit. As they collected their coats and slipped out of the Crystal Gardens, the night felt full of promise, not just of physical connection, but of emotional intimacy, intellectual partnership, and the thrilling possibility of building something authentic from the ruins of what they'd lost. Dawn of new beginnings. The Garden Hotel's rooftop lounge was nearly deserted at this late hour. Glass walls provided panoramic views of the city, while strategically placed heating lamps and plush outdoor furniture created intimate pockets of warmth against the October chill. A small fire pit glowed at the center, its flames dancing hypnotically. Karim and Yasmin settled onto a cushioned love seat near the edge, close enough to feel the fire's warmth but positioned for privacy. The bartender brought their drinks, aged whiskey for him, red wine for her, then discreetly retreated, understanding the need for solitude. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, fingers intertwined, shoulders touching, simply existing together without the weight of performance or pretense. The city sprawled before them, a million lights representing a million stories, and theirs was being written in real time. What happens tomorrow? Yasmin asked eventually, her head resting on his shoulder. Karim considered the question carefully. Tomorrow, we face reality. We have conversations that will hurt. We make decisions about marriages that are already over, even if the formalities remain. He tilted her chin up to meet her gaze. But tomorrow doesn't erase tonight. Tonight proved something essential. We deserve better. We deserve to be chosen, celebrated, loved with intention and presence. I'm frightened, Yasmin admitted. Not of leaving Tariq. That decision feels clearer with every passing hour. I'm frightened of this. Of us. Of feeling this much after being numb for so long. I'm frightened too, Karim confessed. Terrified, actually. But I'm more frightened of letting you walk away without fighting for the possibility of what we could become. Yasmin set down her wine glass and turned fully to face him, taking both his hands in hers. I need time. To grieve what I thought I had. To rebuild myself outside of being someone's wife. To discover who Yasmin Darwish is when she's standing alone. I understand completely, Karim said, though his heart ached at the implied distance. I need the same. To find Karim Zahidi again, the man who got lost trying to save something that was already gone. But, Yasmin prompted, hearing the unspoken word. Karim smiled. But I don't want to do that finding alone. Not romantically, not yet. We both need to heal independently. But as friends, as two people who understand each other's journey, I'd like to walk that path with you, if you'll have me. Relief and joy transformed Yasmin's features. I was hoping you'd say that. I'm not ready to label this, to rush into another relationship before the old one is properly buried. But I'm also not ready to say goodbye to you. To us, whatever us might become. Then we don't say goodbye, Karim declared. We say, until tomorrow. And then the day after that. And the day after that. We take coffee together and talk about books. We support each other through the difficult conversations ahead. We build friendship first, with full honesty about our attraction, our connection, our hope for more when the time is right. You make it sound so simple, Yasmin said with a watery laugh. It won't be simple, Karim acknowledged. It will be complicated and messy and painful. But it will also be honest. And after years of living in shadows and half-truths, honesty sounds like freedom. They sat together by the fire pit as the night deepened, talking about everything and nothing, childhood memories, career dreams, books they loved, places they wanted to visit. They discussed their plans for the inevitable confrontations. Yasmin would speak with Tariq that weekend. Karim would finally face Layla. Neither relished the pain ahead, but both felt strengthened by knowing they wouldn't face it alone. As midnight approached, Karim walked Yasmin to her car. In the parking garage's muted light, they stood close together one final time, reluctant to end this transformative evening. Thank you, Yasmin said, her hand resting over his heart. For seeing me. For reminding me that I'm worth being seen. Thank you, Karim echoed, for showing me that hope isn't foolish. That starting over isn't settling. That the best chapters might still be unwritten. Their final kiss was tender and bittersweet, a promise rather than an ending. When they pulled apart, both wore smiles that held tears and joy in equal measure. Coffee tomorrow? Karim asked. The cafe where we met. Tomorrow, Yasmin confirmed. And Karim? Tonight wasn't payback or revenge. Tonight was reclamation. Yes, he agreed, understanding completely. Tonight, we reclaimed ourselves. As Yasmin drove away, Karim stood beneath the parking garage's fluorescent lights, feeling more alive than he had in years. The road ahead would be difficult. Divorce, emotional upheaval, the reconstruction of identity outside of failed marriages. But he would walk it honestly, supported by an extraordinary woman who understood both his pain and his potential. The night had not sparked scandal. It had sparked awakening. And sometimes, that was the most passionate payback of all, living fully, loving authentically, and refusing to let betrayal define your capacity for joy. Lessons from the heart. True love is not found in those who stay through habit, but in those who see you clearly and choose to stay anyway. Betrayal reveals not our inadequacy, but the other person's inability to recognize the treasure they possessed. Sometimes the greatest act of self-love is walking away from those who cannot value your presence toward those who celebrate your existence. The most beautiful beginnings often rise from painful endings, teaching us that closure is not an ending but a doorway to authentic connection.